We want to start off with a reminder that we are not doctors. Before you make any changes or try something new, always consult with your doctor and medical team first. Chronic illness can vary from patient to patient, so it's always best to consult with your own doctor for what is best for you.
Hello and welcome to IB Determined. I'm your host, Mason Harvey, and I speak from the role of a patient, and I have Crohn's disease.
And I'm your other host, Michelle Harvey. I am Mason's mom, and I speak in the role of a caregiver. We had quite a week, and so if I'm looking tired, I think I always look tired nowadays, but
I think everybody does now.
yeah. But I also think, like, to put things in perspective, I know a lot of our listeners, like, you may have had a worse week. You may have had a better week, but it's just important when you do have difficult weeks to remind yourself that other people out there are usually going through something too. Mason's dad, Jason, he got sick, and so that always throws. And Mason had a treatment.
To be right before my infusion is this
Right.
week. But it always happens before I have to go to the hospital.
Yeah. So it was maybe 3 days before.
Yeah.
And the problem is we treat everything around here like it's COVID, just to be safe, because we obviously need to make sure Mason stays healthy to get that treatment.
Yes.
And he doesn't just have the one treatment. He has one coming up
too. Yeah.
in a couple days again. So he has like a week between. So our goal was keep Mason safe.
So we get a call and he's like, I think I feel a sore throat while he's at work.
Yeah, so Mason and I immediately
then we would go into
candle
room and we like move everything. We put one of those inflatable beds in there.
Yeah.
We put sheets in there. We move everything. We put a chair in there. And we're like, all right, the second he walks in, that's where he's going.
Right, like that's where he has to sleep. He has his own bathroom. And so it's just, and he took 3 COVID tests because his symptoms were staying so light. It was like we were thinking maybe just not picking it up, but turns out never tested positive for COVID. So so we just still had to be careful. And so that kind of threw a bunch of things, because we're also taking care of a cat this week.
Yes.
And so, which has been fun.
It has been
the
fun.
cat's
very, very cute cat. Kitty.
And
it's a boy.
Right. And it's my parents, but we offer to help because my mom has a lot on her plate trying to help take care of my dad. And
have dogs.
2 German Shepherds, one's a puppy. And so we're like, so we're like, we'll play with the cat. We'll take care of the cat. So we've been doing that. And then our dog had to go to the vet. So we had
on the first day of my first day of college.
Yeah, which was also coincidentally, this is all this week. Okay.
All
I was like in the past week. And so it was also the first day of his college. And the reason we're taking care of the cat also is my dad had surgery. So we're going to keep that, not going to talk about that because that's his own,
But he got surgery.
Yeah. So he
needs to relax.
Right. So, so it's been a week. It has been.
Yeah, basically you're tuning in today to watch us fall over and just go.
and sleep. Yeah, we're just gonna sit here and kind of just stare.
Just start sleeping.
Say nothing.
we're just gonna be sleeping, It's just a podcast.
I think Mason's pretty much like, with the amount of schoolwork you had, he's taking full time this semester. So
not to mention though, the warmth of summer is definitely getting
really hot. Yeah. So we're used.
It's like you're trying to do school, but you can't. You're trying to do college, but you can't really think. You're like.
Yeah, it makes it more difficult when you're trying to do your homework.
Like yesterday was a really nice day. When we're recording this, it's a Sunday.
Yeah.
And so yesterday was Saturday, but the weather was very nice. It was cloudy. I like cloudy.
Humid though. I didn't enjoy the humidity.
However, the clouds did make it feel a little cooler.
Yeah,
it helped. And you could see rain off in the distance, but
which is so rare for us. It's so fun when that happens.
Yeah. Not even during Christmas. No.
And today it's just hot and sunny. And so anyway, so not complaining, just saying like it's for everybody. Maybe I'm hoping
that's why in the middle of the podcast you might start falling asleep.
Yeah, just so this podcast kind of like, we always try to find different things to speak about that might motivate you guys or might help, and we might have some new listeners. And so the thing I hope with today's lesson for all of you listening, whether you're younger, whether you're a teen, whether you're an adult, caregiver, it's important to educate yourself about this disease. And so
Yes.
I think instead of just like relying on your doctors just to give you stuff and not bothering to learn about what you're taking, sometimes I mean, I'm not saying to go against what they're saying. I'm
No.
saying it's just good to educate yourself and it helps you ask better questions. I think that's really the important part.
Because
So,
if I didn't know anything about IBD, I'd be asking the wrong questions about
right.
it on how
We
to take
did.
care of it.
Like
Yeah.
originally, we didn't know what to ask because we
No.
didn't know enough about it. And so learning can help you ask good questions. And
Yes.
so no matter your age, if you're listening, I hope that, you'll take some time and you'll listen to this and it might come in handy, not right now, even if you're not taking anything we're about to talk about, it might still come in handy for the future or just understanding the nature of this
Disease.
disease.
Yeah. It'll help you
So,
understand a little bit more, and
yeah.
hopefully you'll be able to use that knowledge in the future.
And so you might have seen, from the headline, if you guys clicked on this to watch it. Today we're going to be talking about Stelara, Tremfya, and Skyrizi. So why
Yeah.
those three, you ask?
Because they all have something to do in common with each other
They do
because
have something in common.
we figured it out through
Right.
insurance.
And so we had basically got a letter from Stelara.
Or not insurance, but it was around that time.
Yeah. Well, it was actually because it actually coincided because
Yeah.
before we got the letter from Stelara, we got the letter from insurance that was like, "Hey, Mason's doing so well. We want to
We
ruin
switched
that.
him. It's
We
like,
want to put him onto something else." And so, that was, and we did a whole
yeah.
podcast on that and how we were successful in keeping Mason on his same treatment.
And you can do that too.
Yes. So you watch that
Just,
podcast.
yeah.
I'll try to
Mhm.
put that up here so you guys can click on it if you're having some troubles keeping yourself on what you're on instead of being switched to a biosimilar. You may not mind the switch. That's okay too. So around that time, we got a letter from
Stelara.
Stelara and it was saying how, your health insurance might be changing, impact how you can receive Stelara. So
Yay.
it was like, wait, what is this? I was like,
What's going on?
so Stelara is aware that people are being referred off to biosimilars.
Mhm.
And so they sent a letter saying basically talk to your doctor about taking Tremfya instead. And
Um,
so we did.
yeah.
We did not want to make a switch, but we asked
No,
our
we were
doctor like,
asking him, like,
what
what
is
is this?
this?
Why are they telling us? Why is
Uh,
Stelara
right.
telling us to come off of Stelara and go on to
Right.
Tremfya? It's
Right.
like,
It seemed it was like, what is this? And
switch
the first thing the
biologics?
doctor's like, she's like, huh? Like
What
she
do
wasn't
you mean?
aware of this and it was not something she would recommend switching Mason to. And so it's like these letters all went out. And so she's like, okay, well, the Tremfya wasn't one that she was that I mean, we're pediatrics also again, so adult medicine might be different.
I might not be
So,
getting
and
that.
this was right around when Tremfya was kind of, I think it was back in March or May or something like that when Tremfya
Sounds
came out.
about right.
And then around the same time, though, we also heard from another GI at Rady's that, hey, Skyrizi might be good for
Skyrizi.
Mason. Since he's did well on
Mhm.
Stelara, Skyrizi's even better.
Yeah.
So we're hearing Allison, and so if you watch a show, you know Mason's on Stelara and
And
Entyvio.
Mhm.
Okay, so he's on both of those. So we're like, all right, so we're hearing this talk of, Mason's on Stelara, but we're hearing recommendations for Tremfya and for Skyrizi.
And then I'm
So
going like, why should I need to change it if something's already
right.
working for me?
Right. And that's kind of his doctor's stance. Like as
Mhm.
of right now, she doesn't want to rock the boat.
No.
That's
If you
kind
find
of
something that
her.
works for you, use it and exhaust it, and
Yeah.
then look for something else that works because they
Right.
don't work forever.
That's why we're here today. We thought, you know what? If this is happening to us, I'm sure others of
to
you out
others.
there, like if you're on Stelara, you've probably received that letter from Stelara, and or you might be, maybe you haven't even taken a biologic, you're newer to this disease, and Skyrizi is being suggested before Stelara, and you're wondering why skip Stelara. Well, there is a reason for that, and
Okay.
so that's what we're going to talk about today. So first of all, here is our non-scientific, non-medical
Medical
term
the
things that we've learned.
explanation of it.
Again,
We're not scientists, we're not doctors, and we're not your nurse.
right.
So we're just going off
This
of
is
information that
research,
we're
right?
finding.
So
We're
we've
researching.
researched off of the websites. We do thorough research, and I will throw those links in here too as well. So you always have access to what we're looking at, and you can read about it yourself. Again, education is important. Let's talk about what is similar that all of these have, and it's called.
Why are people telling me that I should try Skyrizi if I'm on Stelara, and why is Stelara telling us we should try Tremfya? What is the
Yeah.
connection between all these biologics?
And so the first connection, actually, before we talk about the IL-23, which we're going to get
We're gonna
to,
get to that.
the first connection between Stelara and Tremfya is because they're made by the same
Yeah.
company. The reason why Stelara might be recommending Tremfya is because they know people are coming off Stelara because your insurance is no longer covering it.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, well, that will get our new biologic out there.
Right. So by promoting Tremfya, they're hoping to convert people to something new where they can still make a profit. So I think the motivation for them it comes down to, and I'm sure there's other positives for that, no, but not for everybody. So that's why it's important to talk. When you get those letters, go to your doctor, ask them about it. And if you're not,
Your doctor knows you the best, so ask them.
If you don't have an appointment set up, take a copy of the letter, put it through like a MyChart system or whatever you guys have, send it to them and ask. But that's probably the motivation behind Stelara trying to figure out how to keep current Stelara customers with them and not going to a biosimilar and losing them for the next 5 years or whatever.
Because that's part of them.
Yeah, so they're hoping to probably do that.
But I just say I want to stay on my Stelara.
Yeah, well, and that's what we did, and that's what we wanted to do. The thing though that we're really going to be talking about today is something called the IL-23. And
we talked about this in the past.
We've mentioned this when we talk about biologics.
Yes.
What I had always thought, and I think we've mentioned this in the past, but when I heard about Skyrizi coming out, when I heard about Tremfya, when I looked into him, I was like, well, Mason's already on an IL-23 inhibitor because that's what Stelara is. Why would I want to put him on to something else that's like these are it
just works the same.
Yeah.
Why take me off something that's already working?
Right. And I was kind of confused on that. Like, what is the point of this? Okay, we're sorry. We had to take a quick break. Mason had to turn the AC. Thought it had turned on and did it. And we noticed he's getting shinier.
Why am I shiny?
Shinier. And we're like, it's hot. So anyways, right. So hopefully we'll slowly kind of cool down.
More instead of shiny.
Let's get back to what we were talking about, which is the lovely IL-23. So IL-23 is interleukin 23, and it's basically a protein. I have this written down, guys, so I don't mess up. It's a protein that is part of the immune response and inflammation in a body. So that has to do with Crohn's, right? Yes. Those are inflammation and your immune response is tied to Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, both of those. The IL-23 is produced by the body's immune cells when there's a response to inflammatory triggers.
It makes sense.
Now, here's the important part. Because you hear IL-23, you're going to see that if you look these up, that Stelara actually has another one as well. Okay. Which originally I always thought, well, it's getting both of them. It's got to be better than these.
So if it's both, that means it's 2 for 1. It's even better.
Right, because Stelara has to do with the IL-12 as well. So I thought, well, okay. So anyways, this is the why. This is going to help you guys. So the IL-23 is composed of 2 subunits, the P19 and the P40 subunits. Okay, there's 2 of them. So if you're looking at the cell, you would see it as, there's 2 components of it. That's what makes it up.
Okay. IL-23.
Yes.
All right.
And so the IL-23 is involved in driving the differentiation and activation of immune cells called the Th17 cells.
This is so sciencey, right?
I know. I mean, try to follow us. Okay, this is not, you won't be tested on this later.
Searching this up on Google right now. They're going, what in the name?
I know, but this is, I think it's important. And I think it's also maybe interesting to some of you because it's important to understand. You don't have to remember any of this. That's the beauty of it. We're just,
you can rewatch it many times as you want.
So it's okay. If you're listening right now going, what numbers and letters? Don't worry about it. We're going to get to actual treatments here in a minute, but this is just, I think this is helpful background. So the Th17 cells, once they're activated by that IL-23 we're talking about, they produce inflammatory signaling molecules. And so those are different. Those are like your IL-17A, your IL-17F, your IL-22. So those are different.
There's more ILs.
Yeah, so which is also interesting, right? There is more.
That's interesting.
So all of that's going to contribute to ongoing inflammation in various tissues.
All right.
And so when you have elevated levels of the IL-23, that's typically associated with autoimmune diseases.
Okay.
So
that's like what they're trying to suppress.
So that's what they're trying to suppress with these. Exactly. And they're trying to say, if we can get this IL-23 from overreacting, like drama,
it needs to chill out.
Right. If we can get it to just chill, like that's kind of the goal here. And so that's what we're talking about when we talk about the IL-23. So basically,
they're basically going after the P6.
Well, that's what we're about to talk about.
All right, we're about to figure that out. All right.
Yes, we're about to talk about that. Yes.
I called it.
Yes. So just giving you a little background, I think it's going to help you guys a little bit more as we go into these and help you too, right?
Hopefully we'll do something.
Yeah. And the first thing to know, these are all mAbs, which if you've watched one of our other podcasts, you'll probably recognize that. Those are monoclonal antibodies. And so
Mabs.
that's why so you're gonna whenever you hear like Stellar's ustekinumab, and I'm about to read you the other ones too,
Tremfya.
but when you hear them, they end in a mAb, you're looking at a monoclonal antibody. Okay. So that's where they're all
And
so
then there's all the other kinds too. It's not
right.
the only kind.
So those are all similar already. They're in the same like
They're in
family.
the same family. All right, that makes sense. That's
Right.
why they're all being suggested together.
And so beyond that, each one of these Stelara, Skyrizi, and Tremfya are all approved to treat both ulcerative colitis and Crohn's.
Okay.
So interesting thing, when they were originally with I think with the exception of Tremfya, or no, with the exception of Skyrizi, I should say, the other ones I think like originally Stelara was approved for Crohn's first, I believe.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so one was approved for Crohn's, and then later on, they got approved for ulcerative colitis, or even if it was the reverse, doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
The thing is, that's interesting, is all three of these are approved for both of those. So sometimes certain drugs work better for one versus the other. All three of these are going to work well, which for patients like Mason who had pancreatitis and
all the
along with
fun
the Crohn's
problems.
disease, yes. So if you have Crohn's disease, but it's very prevalent in your colon, you may present like ulcerative colitis as well. So anyways, again, not a doctor. These
No,
are
these
things
are
that,
things that we've researched. We're not
yeah, I
doctors.
looked at.
Don't quote us. Ask your doctor first.
Oh, yeah. So interesting. So good to know all three of these cover both of those, whether you have either one.
Okay.
And so we're going to start with Stelara first. So Stelara is known as ustekinumab.
Okay.
And it targets both the P40 subunit of the IL-23 and the IL-12.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's interesting.
So
So both IL-23 and both IL-12.
So the P40 is a shared subunit of the IL-23 and the IL-12.
Oh,
Okay, so the P40 is something they share together. So when you target the P40, you're effectively shutting down the IL-23 and the IL-12.
That's interesting.
Yes. So that's why both are affected. So, and I know for some of you listening, you're probably like, okay, so what? Well,
What does
that's
that mean?
different
Yeah.
because that's the difference between these and Tremfya and Skyrizi.
All right.
Okay, so there's your difference right there. And this is where I used to think, well, Stelara is amazing because it does IL-23
both.
and IL-12. And
better.
so we're going to learn a little bit more about that. We're going to get into that. But that's basically how Stelara works. Stelara is known as like it's one of the originators of this type of treatment. So
the father of it all.
right. So you're going to have people like Mason who were started on Stelara because at the time Skyrizi and Tremfya were not available. And so that's why some of you now who've been diagnosed more recently than he has, you might not even be recommended Stelara anymore. You might be being recommended Tremfya or Skyrizi from the get-go. And we're going to go into that now. So Tremfya is also known as guselkumab.
Guselkumab? That's interesting.
Guselkumab? I don't know. Something like that.
You can probably, we'll probably auto-translate it to the closed captions, and we'll just be some random
I know. Yeah. So, but it's a map. And
the maps.
So this one, so where we just said Stelara targets the P40 subunit, this targets the P19 subunit of the IL-23.
P40 anymore.
So now it's not going to be shutting off the IL-12 because the P19 is not shared. So it's specific to the IL-23. So when you shut down, when you're binding to that P19 subunit, you're only affecting the IL-23.
Okay.
So what that does, it prevents the IL-23 from interacting with its receptor on immune cells. Right. And something I want to say really quick because I want to say here, these are all three of these two are recommended every 8 weeks by injection.
And I'm on every 4 weeks.
Yes.
Yay.
You may not, 8 weeks may not work for you like Mason.
And you're every 4 weeks. Not like that.
No, so that's a whole nother fight. But that's what we're here for, to help you guys with this stuff.
So
anyway, so if you're looking at these options, just know they're all going to be similar they may be a slightly different injection style, but they are all going to be injections every 8 weeks is going to be the initial recommendation. So all similar in that case to compare.
They're all every 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So what makes Skyrizi different?
So Skyrizi is actually very similar to Tremfya.
All right.
It is also an IL-23 inhibitor that works by binding to the P19 subunit.
Right, so it's both stopping the P19.
Right. And
I call it something different.
Well, it's different manufacturers. Okay. So they each have like their own version. There are definitely going to be differences in some of their active ingredients. Some of their, one may bind differently. They may have different ways because they're obviously not going to be identical.
No, they can't be. Yeah, you can't copy.
I don't think I don't think so. So, but at the same rate, they're affecting the same, they're working at the same way. They're
This
attacking
is
the body
also
way.
every other 8 weeks.
Yep.
And also because we forgot, what's the scientific name for this?
And so Skyrizi is risankizumab.
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 Risankizumab. Oh,
Yeah.
right.
So that is again,
Stelara is
Dr.
also the easiest to say, which is why it's better. Who's second a mab?
Yeah, well, we're used to saying that so
Yeah.
much, so we just yeah.
Risankizumab.
Risankizumab. And
That's
so Skyrizi is made by AbbVie. So they are so that's its own, that's made by somebody
and
else.
I see I have links to both of
I do.
these
I'm going to
biologics.
include those so people can do
Their own
more
research if they
reading.
want.
So, the question is, so after hearing the differences here, you might be going, well, which one's better? Again, that's up to your
Why is
doctor.
Stelara recommending me something?
That's
Well, no, why is the company that Stelara is from recommending me Tremfya when
right.
Stelara works a little bit more around everything?
Right. So you're probably thinking,
Yeah.
well, well, first of all, your doctor's always going to know what's best. They know your symptoms, they know your diagnosis, they know that best. So that's who you're going to want to rely on to go to with what should I take if these are being
Oh,
recommended. You might even be at something totally different. And again, those are going to work differently than these three
yes,
do.
these will not work the
So,
same, and so they're going to attack the IL-23. And
right.
so if it's
And
not the mAb, it's going to be different.
different mAbs attack different
Yeah,
things.
and different.
They're all
Yeah, they're
different.
all different.
So this is specific today's to the IL-23s. And so the reason we talked about these three, because I could look into other things and go into more, but that's because we've been hearing this talk around it. And I'm going, this has to be similar to Stelara. And we're going to kind of tell you what I saw, which is why maybe you're being recommended to go straight to Skyrizi instead of Stelara. And maybe why, Tremfya may be something that may be recommended as well. So why is that? What's going on? So
All right, let's see.
some studies have shown that when you target the P19 subunit, like Tremfya and Skyrizi do, it's more precise because it doesn't affect the IL-12. And so where I thought that might be a good thing, because I thought, well, what if the IL-12 is what's bothering Mason? Like, what if that's, but they said that the IL-12 is not as important as the IL-23.
But it's not as important, which means that it might still be a little important.
It could still be a little important.
Which means
but
they both might be important.
The reason here, though, is they figure that if you intercept the IL-12, that might weaken the body's Th1 immune response, which fights certain infections and cancers.
Oh, I see.
And so the risks are still actually very much the same between these. And so that's something else you guys need to look at and talk over with your doctor, the risks. We're not going over the risk today. We're talking about something different, but I know they are similar.
Okay. Not too bad.
Right. So that's why, so they're suggesting that it might be better to just target the IL-23, that P19 subunit, instead of the P40 and shutting down the IL-12. So the they're and the reason that they're pretty confident in this is in comparative studies with Crohn's disease, not ulcerative colitis, but I'm sure they're similar. They've shown that the P19 inhibitors have led to significantly better rates of endoscopic healing compared to Stelara, which with the P40 inhibitor. So they're seeing, so the good news is, guys, is because if Mason was switched, I would probably have more confidence now if the doctor said, hey, we do want to try Skyrizi or Tremfya. And so I might say, okay, because I always thought that IL-12 might be really important. But hearing that it's more about the subunits that they're looking at here, and that P19 inhibitor is actually showing slightly better rates to get you to, I mean, Mason's already there, but for those of you who are struggling to get there, that's really hopeful.
So here's my question. I don't see it here on the board, so you may not have the answer, but
Probably
it's just
not.
something that I would like to ask.
Sure.
Because it's just something I would be interested about, and maybe there's some scientist in the comment section.
Well, it's good to ask, because someone else may want to look this up. We'll probably look it up. But yeah.
Because they don't work exactly the same, but they're still attacking the IL-23. Does that mean if I was on Stelara and say after 5 years, Stelara stops working?
Right, would
these work? Because they're slightly different, but they're still attacking IL-23.
So I would pick, like, I picture Dr. B. So maybe.
Yeah, maybe we'll see if it works.
I would say because they're different subunits, there is a chance, because
all right,
there might be, it might be something slightly different enough yet similar enough to help, and so potentially yes. So something that was interesting that I found, because it kind of relates to precision medicine in my mind, it's my last point I want to make, because I was like, what about someone who's been on Remicade or infliximab and that has failed them. Why did that fail and maybe Stelara worked for you? And so these are things that research is important for, guys. And we say it all the time how important research is. But one of the things that is important is figuring out what may work for someone and not for someone else when you're trying to narrow down precision medicine. And so there's been evidence that it says that suggests that patients who didn't respond to anti-TNF therapy, which would be something like Remicade or Humira that you may have heard of, if they didn't respond to it like Mason, they may especially benefit from the P19 inhibition,
Okay.
From suppressing that. And that's because, as they said, anti-TNF therapy resistance is associated with the upregulation of IL-23, which means people who have a more active production of that IL-23 may have more resistance to TNF blockers.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So that could be why Stelara, you reacted to that, at least it was slow, but you still reacted to it far better than the Remicade. So
Right.
I think that's interesting because these are things that you can start to group people and maybe be treating them a little differently because you could say, oh, this didn't work well. So anyways, I just thought that was interesting.
Now here's the thing. I think both of those biologics sound very cool,
Mhm.
and they definitely sound like they might be a little more effective than Stelara in some cases.
Right, in some
However,
cases.
the thing is, stop telling me to get on these things when I already have a biologic working for me because I
Right.
want to exhaust that first.
Right.
I don't want to be wasting the years I can use it.
That's the thing that's frustrating. And one of the is that, you feel like you have insurance telling you what to do, and then you have your own Stelara that you are on telling you
You
what
should
to
try
do.
something else. It's like,
And it's kind of like it's a lot because I mean, you got to think about your quality of life. His is so much better.
yes, it's so much better.
It's so
I want to continue to keep
right,
using Stelara until it stops working because
right.
once it stops working, you can't really get it back.
Now, if there was a chance that the doctor, said to us, well, maybe this Skyrizi would work so well for him he could come off Entyvio, then that might be
Yeah, well,
interesting.
then that would be like, okay,
Right, right. So then it's like,
no more infusions, you
okay,
pay attention.
right, right. But so far none of this has been discussed with
No.
us, nothing like that for Mason. But with Mason, he's solid right now, and we would rather just continue with this. But my thought is that the way, there's been so much new innovation and so much new different ways that they can treat this. And just in the 5 years since he was
It's
diagnosed,
crazy, actually.
yeah, like
I mean, if you think about it, if I was diagnosed 5 years earlier, we probably wouldn't have Stelara.
right.
And now we have Tremfya, we have
And
Skyrizi, we
there's a
have
bunch of other ones we've
there's
been discussing today
there's
because they're
others as
different,
well. It's just insane how much there's been a boom,
right.
in biologics, a
And it
biologic boom.
and even in there's going to be some people who still don't respond and they do have to still
Yeah.
keep
Which
researching
is
and
why we have
looking.
to keep researching because,
Right.
like we said, Crohn's disease is different for everybody.
Right.
And it's different for ulcerative colitis. So something that might work for them might not work for Crohn's disease.
Right.
But if Stelara works for me, Stelara might not work for someone else. And so they're like, oh, great. That's great to hear
Yeah.
that Skyrizi is working well because it's not going to work for me.
Right.
And so that's why I have to keep researching, even though we have such great discoveries. We have so many good
Right.
biologics.
And that precision medicine is important. So you
Oh,
can
yeah.
know there's a higher likelihood something's going to work. So you can go straight to it.
Yes.
But
We need to keep researching.
I think it'll be interesting to see how many newer patients are being led to Tremfya or Skyrizi and how if
Instead of
Stelara slowly becomes like people who are already on it, you just stay on it until and then you switch over to one of these.
yeah.
I think if they're getting a really good response and they only have to shut down the IL-23, they might decide, hey, this is a less immune suppressing kind of treatment that's getting
And it's also
great
effective.
results and it's very effective.
Uh,
Why not?
yeah, why not?
So I
Yeah.
think that's kind of my conclusion. So anyways, that's really all we have for you today on that. We just kind of want to go over if you've been, we're not sure if you got those letters or if you've been referred to one of these. And so we just thought if we're hearing this talk, you might be too. And what are the similarities? What are the differences? And it sounds like all great treatments. They're not infusions, which is wonderful.
Which is even
A
better,
little more convenient.
It's so sad. The people
For sure.
the people working at the infusion center are like, you don't want to see us anymore. I'm like, I don't like the
I know.
infusions.
It's like we'll come visit.
I miss them, but
Yeah, we'll just come say hi.
I don't really want to, IV in my arm for
Yeah, we
months.
go so much. So these kind of things give
Now, if it
hope.
was every 8 weeks,
Yeah. Yeah.
once every 4 weeks, it's
It
like
might be a little more tolerable, but being at the hospital every 2 weeks
a
is a
challenge,
challenge.
especially
And
if you want to go on a road trip or something. You gotta
yeah. Or
do it in
just
that.
travel or do if there's certain dates, there's something on.
Or
It's like,
college because you gotta do everything, and then
yeah.
a day every 2 weeks you get knocked out.
Yeah.
Well, not knocked out, but
Right.
Benadryl says you're gonna
A
sleep
little
today.
setback. Yeah, it's a
Mm,
little bit,
yeah, and then
but
it's like a 2 hour drive to the hospital and stuff. So
hopefully you guys have listened through
yes,
and this
hopefully I'm
wasn't
not
like,
sleeping yet.
yeah, I mean, I don't think this would be too boring. I know some of you might think, well, why do I need to know this? But I think that knowledge is power. And just having this, you may, if your doctor says one of these names, you'll be like, oh, hey, I've heard of that. And this is how it
I
works.
know what it works. Yeah.
And so you can ask a question about it. And that's the beauty of this. So
Know your biologics.
yeah, it is important. And like we said, you can ask better questions. You're better informed, you can ask better questions, and you may have a better understanding. Maybe you have a friend with this disease that they're on something different and you don't know why, or you took something it didn't work and you don't know why. And so it's kind of cool. I enjoy learning about it because it's very interesting to me that who thought, like to do these
Yeah,
things.
it's
And
amazing people behind it.
yeah, it is. It's incredible. So, with that,
Can make
guys,
pictures.
if you want to see our adventures, which this week we didn't post too much because our adventures weren't really post worthy.
Very old
We
adventure.
did get to golf.
Oh yeah, I did get to go.
Yeah,
I did get to golf.
you did.
That was
You
very
did.
fun
So
actually.
that was a stress relief. That was
Yeah,
nice.
that was
But
nice.
we didn't post any pictures, but he did. So you're welcome to follow us at Team I Be Determined on Instagram.
Yes.
Also the Reggie Project if you want to be a part of that.
Hmm.
And we worked on, and actually we think that's where Jason got sick, was at Disneyland.
Disneyland.
We went to Disneyland.
Yay.
We recorded a few rides.
Yeah, we did.
So
That was fun.
yeah, we did that for our Karma 2 clips. So we had fun with that, and
Definitely.
we're gonna hopefully be getting those off the ground a little bit more and be able to tell you guys,
More about
how
them.
you can order them, how
I
you
can get
can
them.
get them for free, no cost. That's the deal with this. So anyways, we'll be letting you guys know we have a few clips ready. We will let you guys know, and you can listen to us if you're watching and you say, "Hey, I'd rather listen to them." They look really warm.
They look really shiny. They're blinding my eyes.
If you'd rather listen to us, you can go to Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and Buzzsprout. We have a link there that shows
Yep.
all your options if you would rather listen. But if
If
you
you
would,
want to watch us, you can watch us on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, there's also YouTube podcasts. And if you're just on YouTube in general, make sure to give us a like and subscribe. And if you want to be notified every time we post a new video, make sure to hit that bell icon. And also, please leave comments because we love getting your comments.
yep,
If anyone wants to answer that question I asked earlier in the video,
yeah,
good sources, go ahead. Or if you have more questions, or if there's something we missed, or something you want to hear about, or have ideas for future episodes, please let us know because we like hearing your comments. And just please be respectful because we know people on YouTube are sometimes.
yeah, be
Uh,
nice. Just be kind, guys.
most
Make a
people,
good decision. If you're having a bad day, don't comment. I mean, unless you want to comment because you're like, hey, I'm having a bad day, can you support?
I understand, we all have bad
But if
days.
you're having a bad day, you just want something mean, don't
Yeah.
don't do that. Just be kind.
Sometimes being nicer will make you feel better too.
Yeah, exactly. Try it. Be nice.
Try being nice.
Try being
Like
nice.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I assume you're gonna watch this sometime in the summer. If you do, once you're done with this video, treat yourself to a nice cup of ice cold water.
Yeah, it's what we're gonna go do.
Mm, yum.
Get some water and goes. Mason has a neck fan that he's had on that, so he's gonna probably go put his neck.
Very nice, actually. Probably. I'm gonna turn the AC up too because
I know. What the heck?
it's
It's
really
not
cool.
feel like it shut off again.
Turned it down. It didn't do
Oh my
much.
gosh.
All
Okay,
right.
guys. Well, thank you for listening. And if you're new to us, check out some of our old episodes. Find
Yes.
something that you're interested in.
Yeah.
And again, if you don't see it in there and you're looking, you're saying, "Hey, this is what I have questions about." Comment,
Yeah.
send us a message,
Yes.
let us know. We'd love to talk about it so we
We
can,
love to help.
even if it's just one of you, it's okay. Send it over, and if we can help just one of you, and anytime, that's what we're here for. All right, everyone, have a
Good rest of your
yeah
day, weekends,
evening,
school
morning,
day, I don't know, college day,
whatever
warm
it
summer
is.
day, golf day, I don't know, but just have a good rest of your day.
Yes, and we'll see you
Or
back
week.
here in 2 weeks.
Yes. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.
We hope you will stick around, tune in, and reach out to us with your own journeys. We are excited to give you an inside view of what it takes to be a caregiver and what it's like to be a patient.
And most of all, we hope you'll maybe be able to apply something you hear on here that might help you in your own life. Sometimes life changes, and it's all about how you handle the journey.